So we just walked the course all the way up and all the way down. I have to say I'm already knackered, but the next step now is to start going up in the car. So this is where things start to get a little bit exciting. Right then, so here I am now in the car. It's interesting, now I've got the first time I've ever worn a helmet in this car, as you can see. And headroom has never been an issue in this car until I put the helmet on. I've suddenly realized, oh, there isn't actually that much headroom in here. But it's okay, it's manageable. So we're just lining up now, and then these are the very first laps that we do. So just exploratory runs, so to speak. So it'll be interesting to see what this is like and what this car is going to be like, what a 33-year-old car is going to be like going up the famous Shelsley Walsh. I can't pronounce the name of this place, honestly. The spelling and the pronunciation of this is constantly catching me out. The Shelsley Walsh Hillclimb, one of the oldest continually in service motorsports venues. So very exciting. Should be interesting. So here we are, we're waiting on the start line. I'm lined up with cars on each side. There's a Cobra next to me, a very famous Cobra, an authentic real Cobra, which is just exciting to see that. It's been a little bit of a lesson to calm down, because apparently in the first group one of the cars has already managed to go off. So they they brought us all together and said, you know, calm down, right, just take it easy when you get to the end. The thing is, they walked us up the course, and at the end of the course is a long straight to the finish line. And the temptation, I guess, there is just to go crazy, full flat out towards the finish line. And I think that's what happened. And then there's not enough braking distance after that. So I'm not going to be doing anything of the sort. In fact, I'm going to be just taking a gentle run up the hill to see what it's like. Don't forget.
The sun's come out for you.
That's nice, isn't it? So the sun's come out, so that's a good thing. But yeah, at least it's not raining, eh? That's another good thing. There's been a lot of rain lately. So we're about to do this thing, head up this hill, and see what it's like. Should be interesting. There goes the Cobra. Wow. That's amazing. So hopefully I'll be able to see the Cobra make its start. That should be quite exciting. I'm just moved up to what is the spin line. So apparently this is where people sort of burn rubber to warm up their tires. Whoa, there goes the Cobra. That looked awesome. Right, so I guess we're up next. Well, there we go.
Morning.
Morning.
Could you put the window up before you go,
I will do, yeah.
And then go on the green light.
Okay, cool.
Just below the red one.
Really?
It will be.
It is now. Thanks very much. So they walked us up the hill, obviously, and they told us all of these details about where to brake and where to turn in. Late apexes on this thing. But of course now I've forgotten half of all of that, even though I think I was too busy trying to catch my breath going up the hill. But here we are. I'm not going very quickly, as you can probably tell, but so far so good, pretty straightforward. Just trying to remember where all the points are. There's an apex there. It's a late apex, and then there's only one sort of really real corner on this, which is this one here. And keep to the left, they said, and you've got a marker here, and then that's it. And then there's a long straight where we can really open her up a little bit, get up to 5,000 RPM. And then once you cross the finish thing, they said basically make sure that you're braking after that, which I am. I have no intention whatsoever of going into the gravel trap. Well, that was interesting and quite safe actually. That was a gentle run on my part. That was quicker, I'm pretty sure. Well, so I've done about 3 runs. I think there's actually 4 runs in the initial session before lunch, so I think I'm going to have another go up the hill. Definitely was a bit quicker on that last run, but you know, within reason. I think at one point I was changing up too early, so this last run I waited a little bit before I changed up, that sort of thing. And you know, it's remarkable how much difference those sort of things can make. But again, keeping in mind that I need to be careful with the car, you know, not overheat it or anything like that. So being tentative at the same time as trying to enjoy myself. But having said that, she's doing well, doing really well. I don't know how many runs are after lunch, but a few more runs after lunch. So the question of like how hard you push it, I think as far as like I'm comfortable with, quite frankly. Basically that bit there where you just have to straight line it, and then second gear here, wait for the apex on that last, this is the tightest corner on here, stay over to the left and then over to the right, and then just floor it right through to the finish line basically. And then the finish line you got to remember to brake, because there's a very short runoff after that where there's the finish line and there you just brake. So there you go. I don't know what time that was. Well, actually, we'll be able to tell on the GoPros, won't we? So I don't know how I'm doing, but yeah, that's it. So I think that's it for now. Time for a bit of lunch. Give the car a little bit of a break as well, I think. So as we head back down the hill, we've been stuck up at the top of the hill for a while, and the reason being because another car had gone off. So that's 2 cars that have gone off today. It's quite a sobering thing to realize that. And the second car, apparently quite badly, the car I think is now undrivable, whereas the first one was, at least it got back down the hill again, and just lost a little bit of bodywork. But yeah, as I say, you know, it can be dangerous, which again just puts you in a state of mind where you're just like, okay, don't want to be that person. Thankfully the drivers are okay in both cases. First case, yeah, no problem. Second case, a little bit more worrying, but the driver's fine. So post lunch now, we've had our lunch, which is, I don't know if that's ever a good idea on these sort of things. And so a few more runs after lunch now. They've taken away the markers this time. So now you have to figure out the apex points yourself, which is a little bit more tricky. But to be honest, like I think that I'll probably do like another couple of runs and then that'll be it. I think, you know, you don't want to push your luck too much on these things. But it's been fun, and let's see if I've learned anything. So here we go. Final run of the day, no markers now. So you go figure this out yourself now. But getting up to 6,000 RPM in my straight 6 2.5 liter BMW, I think I maybe changed up again too early there. That was the same mistake I made on the second run. If you change up too early, then you just lose momentum because you're going uphill, you tend to forget, and then the braking there. Get it into second, late apex. Yeah, it is harder without the markers. The markers are really useful to tell you exactly where the braking points are and where the turning in points are. And once they're removed, you're kind of on your own. But there you go. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I don't know if you can make out in that one. McLaren in front of me. Genuine Cobra. Genuine Cobra. Genuine Cobra. That's crazy. So here we go, last run of the day I think for me. And we'll see how we do. See if we learned anything. But I have to say that having done that previous run, now that they've taken the markers away, it's so much more difficult without the markers. You realize how much you're relying on the markers when they take them away and suddenly there's nothing there to tell you where the apexes are, where the braking and turning points are. It's all about practice, I reckon, but it's definitely worth doing. It's something that, you know, if you're keen on this sort of stuff, you should definitely come and try it. But be advised that, you know, it's a narrow circuit. There are no runoffs. There are no runoffs in this thing at all. So here we go, waiting for the light to go green. Try to get off the line without breaking traction. Holding on to second for a bit longer that time, that's better. Works out better because you can hold that momentum. But you really run out of momentum quickly when you realize, because it's just how steep this hill actually is. And then you go, oh, okay, yeah. And how quickly it's all over, because then that's it, you know. Once you make that turn, and then it's just to punch it to the end, that's all it is. What sort of speed am I going to get up to? I haven't actually monitored at all. It's 70 miles an hour. Wow, and some car 166 miles an hour. They said some cars get over the line 166, and I'm only doing 70. My God, that must be shocking to get over that at 166. Absolutely bonkers. So what have we learned today? What we've learned is there's a tremendous amount that can happen in a very short space of time. There's a tremendous amount of energy that you can expend in a very short space of time. A little bit like drag racing, really, but there's a little bit more to it because there's corners and apexes and curves and crowns in the road and stuff like that. What we've also learned is how much technical expertise has to go into what is quite a short sprint. You know, how much practice, even for those few corners, you think, oh yeah, a couple of times I'll nail this. No, you need to do repeated runs to really understand the technical aspects of how to get the corners right, what side of the road you should be in, what are the braking points, what are the turning points, where you can get the best out of the car. And the interesting thing, as the instructor was saying at the beginning of the session today, was actually some of it applies differently to different types of cars. So some of the high downforce, high grip cars actually need to be on slightly different side of the roads than the normal cars would be. So it's amazing how much goes into something like this, and how much, especially if you're going to do it as a professional. What have I learned today? I've learned that probably the car is actually fantastic for this sort of thing. The low down torque really helps up a hill. But I've also learned that I'm a little bit tentative about how far I want to push the car. I mean, I would say, okay, yes, I had my foot flat on the floor, but I was probably changing up a little bit earlier than I could have. Although having said that, I took it up to about 5.5, just below the 6,000 RPM red line on this car on some of those changes. But you know, if you were really going for it, I think you would have to be a lot more brutal than I was being. I would say probably 7 to 8 tenths of its overall capability in terms of performance and braking is pretty much what I was using. But also there's a skill set, and that's almost guaranteed that I think a better driver with a better skill set would be able to carry more momentum and actually be a bit more technically clever with the where and how they're positioning the car and cutting the corners, etc., etc. So there's a lot to be learned. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot to be learned, but at the same time, it's a very serious thing, you know. And unlike when you do track days or driving schools on track days, and that's not to say that's true for all tracks, but I know from a lot of tracks, you know, at least you have runoff, or you may have an instructor sitting with you or something like that. But in this case, you know, there is very little margin for error. There's very little room to make mistakes. So you've got to come here with a little bit of confidence, as well as looking for a day out full of excitement and learning as well. So also check your car, make sure your car is okay. I mean, I just did a few basic checks, you know, just make sure the oil fluids, everything was okay before I came out here today. But at the end of the day, you know, this is a car that I've driven here and I want to drive it back, and you know, 90% of people are doing that, but of course a couple of people, or at least one person, is not going to be doing that today. The car has already been trailered away, whereas actually the first car is back on the road, I noticed, so that's fine. but with a little bit missing. So it's one of those things where you just got to be aware that that is a possible scenario. So other than that, thoroughly recommended, highly entertaining, fun day out. Thank you very much to Motul, who's organized this event today. And of course I have Motul oil in this car. The last time this car was serviced, it was done so, as those who follow it regularly on hashtag BCG BMW E30 will know, it was done over at the project shop, and they of course they use Motul fluids and oils for the car. So that's how it went today. That was the story. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got an idea of what it's like to do the very famous historical Shelsley Walsh Hillclimb.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these 3 little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.